Alright, we got a Vincent event. Final Fantasy VII. And we do get a new character. I assure you, the Dirge began a long time ago. And yeah, it didn't begin here. It didn't begin for the Dirge of Cerberus game. Yep. Been a lot longer than that. Shel joins our already gigantic cast of Final Fantasy VII characters. She makes a third support 5 in the realm if you could be forgiven for feeling like she's unwelcome due to that fact. If so, I implore you to reconsider. Yeah, because the two supports in Final Fantasy VII are Red 13 and Barret, which, well, at least Red 13's good. With her above-average stats, they're very good. They're very good stats. She has Ramza-like stats. Ability coverage and sword usage. She can use a sword. It's a hell of a departure from the hairpin and gun arm users. Makes for an intriguing option and very much worth your further consideration. Shel. Her stats at level 99 are about 7,000 health, which is good. Attack of 206, which is extremely good. That's very high for a support. And that'll be useful for her, and you'll see why. The rest of her stats are kind of standard. Oh, except for her speed, which is extremely high. She's a very quick little bunny. Next up, we have daggers, swords, and spears for weapons. That's only 3 things, but they include swords, so okay, that's cool. Armor, hats, light armor, bracers. A little light on that, but bracers and light armor makes it good enough. Ability schools, combat 3, support 5, yes. Celerity 5 could be useful for her. And machinist 4 also could be useful for her. At least she can hit those status requirements for you at the support position. And considering that her BSB is a ability pool extender. Game. Thank you very much for the follow. Then if you're using her BSB with her, which is all she has available for her really, then she's actually just definitely the person to be able to hit those target conditions. New legend dives, we only get 2 with this event. And neither of them are pretty or exciting. I guess legend dives usually aren't. This is just some health, some defense, some everything for Vincent. He is a heavy hybrid, 30 for offensive and 25 for defensive, and 9% fire damage. It's typical. And Red 13 gets 800 health. Yep, just typical, and 9% support ability damage, which we don't care about. So he's one of those supports that gets kind of shafted. Well, one of the many supports. Almost all of them get a useless addition here, while damage dealers and healers everywhere get useful ones here. Support do not. Next up, Vincent, Legend Materia 1, increases fire damage dealt by 10%, sure. Legend Materia 2, restores HP for 100% of the user's maximum HP, and grants Galleon Beast when HP falls below 20%. The status Galleon Beast is attack, defense, magic, resistance, mind, accessory, and evasion are all increased by 20. And cast speed is increased by ×2 for 15 seconds. Excellent. It's really, really excellent. He's good without it, but if it does proc in the course of a fight, and you can always proc it yourself, remember, just by, targeting him with a life siphon or something. But normally you'd probably want to make sure that it gets procced when you actually need the heal, and when the boss triggers it. But still, it's a good trance mode. It's perfect. Next up, we have Red 13. Ferocious Fang. Support abilities deal 15% more damage. Also useless. Increases duration of stat buffs by 40%. Good. Very, very, very good. Red 13 is an amazing buffer as of this event. It does not prevent death. It will only trigger if he is not dead, so you would have to get hit and fall between 0% and 20% HP. So, good LM2 here, which is nice. Alright, now we get to the banners. First up on banner 1, we have Vincent's USB. It's his Cerberus gun. It is Realm Synergy only plus fire, which kind of stinks. But the Soul Break itself is fire non-elemental. 6 group range physical or magical, depending on the highest offensive attribute. Grants attach fire, X Cerberus, quick cast 1, and attack, hybrid attack or hybrid magic to the user. And we see here that quick cast 1 is for 1 turn he gets ×2 cast speed. And it grants him hybrid attack or hybrid magic depending on his highest attribute, just like this. So if he has a higher attack attribute, he will do physical damage with the entry, gain quick cast 1, and then he will gain attack 30%. And the other way around, if he has higher magic, it will do all of that, except it will lose the plus 30% attack, and he will gain plus 30% magic instead. But looking at the key to this USB would be X Mode Cerberus. And X Mode Cerberus grants quick cast 1 after using a fire attack for 15 seconds. So you've all heard this before. It's just like lightning, it's just like Terra. You gain the quick cast and you grant yourself more quick casts. Well, Terra's a little different, right? Yeah, she just simply gets ×2 cast speed, right? But it's it works in the same way as long as you're using fire abilities. What's up, Sketch? Welcome home. Yeah, Terra's ridiculous. But Vincent at least has the advantage of being a true hybrid, where he can be a full physical if you'd like, because he has a, well, eventually we'll have a 4-hit fire physical ability in Ruby Spike, and he also has Chain Faraga, which will also eventually be a 4-hit fire ability. So that's excellent. But granting quick cast 1 after using a fire attack for 15 seconds, this is basically what you're looking for here. You use the USB, Chain Faraga, Chain Faraga, Chain Faraga until the end, and then hopefully you have another available. If you don't, then Wrath, and then do it again. I'll talk about the other option you have available to you once we get to the other relic on the banner that enables that. Description. Here we have another member of the club started by Terra and joined by Ace. Vincent's variation is that he adds the option to play as physical to the mix, utilizing Ruby Spark as his weapon of choice to pair with Chain Faraga on the other side of the fence. Vincent, like those that came before him, turns into a fiery terror with his USB alone and can add his BSB to the mix for added effect. True, and trustworthy with his BSB, absolutely. And I'll get to why when we get to his BSB. Rating 90 of 100. This is awesome. It's awesome, and Vincent's one of the best mages in the game. He has access to Darkness 5, which gives him Memento Mori, and he is a support 4 mage. He is just really, really good. Yeah, this is just an awesome, awesome hit. So, moving on, we have Red 13's USB. A lot easier to describe, since it's just a buffer. We have attack, defense, and resistance plus 30% for 25 seconds. Grants haste and Astra. Astra prevents any status, well, not any status, but one of these statuses, and it lasts for 25 seconds. We call this status blink, but I am going to be using the Enlier spreadsheet nomenclature on my site, so I hope you're okay with that. But I mean, ever since it came out, I've been using Astra and status blink interchangeably, so everyone should at least be aware of what both of those are and that they're the same thing. Easy evaluation. Red 13 trades away a hybrid buff, and hybrid meaning attack and magic in his tri-buff. He trades away that hybrid buff and adds status protection to fill that gap. So if we take someone like Minfilia has attack, magic, and resistance, I believe, so that's a hybrid buff, and just gets haste. So he loses the ability to be a hybrid buffer, but just gains a free Astra instead. Personally, it's tougher to assemble a team that way because you need to get more relics. The counterpart to this will be in 4.5 months from now. Saz gets a magic defense and resistance plus 30%, grants haste and Astra. That's a very far way along from now, but that is the other side of the fence, and you would need those two to accomplish what Memphilia does in one. However, I do prefer to specialize, and the reason why is because it's just, I don't know, I don't think it's that difficult. I don't think it's that difficult to put together a buffing support that you use for physical teams, and a buffing support that you use for magical teams. There's something I didn't mention here in the description, is that if you plan or have seen or potentially planning on pulling the Final Fantasy Tactics Advance banner that has Ramza's BSB2, which is an improved shout and Trust Bot and full throttle holy attacking thing for Ramza, then he's your physical buffer. And I plan on pulling on that, so although I do have this rated at 80 of 100, it is excellent. Don't let what I'm about to say fool you on how my preferences are gonna, work into the way I pull. This is a very, very, very good USB. I want to concentrate my resources, and knowing that I plan on pulling on the Agrius and Ramza banner, and my chances of picking up a physical support buff there means that I'm probably gonna this is what convinced me not to pull on this banner, or one of the things, is that this no longer was, holy shit, look at this physical buffing, USB. It became something a little less than that, and that's probably what helped push me away. Because otherwise, the banner is actually quite excellent. Awesome buffing Soul Break if only Red 13 were a better character. That's true. He'll never have good equipment. But that doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, you're getting a hairpin with this USB. It's a 6-star native. It's going to have plenty of attack, and he's a support. He's a buffing support. You're not looking for damage output from him. So, I think this is harsh. I think it's a little harsh. Because everything that you want in Red 13, he has. He has a good LM2, which gives him 40% increased duration on buffs, remember. And his LMR is not that good. But he's a decent character. If he was better, then this would be ridiculous. Is it good if you already have his BSB? I feel like his BSB... I like his BSB. It's a hybrid buff, right? Attack and magic plus 30%, and then he has ninja cast commands, which is nice, actually, with his LMR. I rate his LMR poorly, because I don't really view Red 13 as being a character that you use just for his BSB. It's more of a fringe scenario thing, so I reduce the rating a lot for it, even though it works so well with his BSB. But yeah, I think I agree with Solus that his USB and his BSB together, if you're lucky enough to have it, is actually pretty good. If you don't have someone to entrust, but you have both of those together, he can just wrath those out and use them both together, and that actually would be pretty good. But also, I still think that's for a physical team, even though the BSB is a hybrid buff, attack and magic, because you're getting plus 60%, no, not plus 60% because it's a multiplicative, but 30 and 30 to the magic of just 30. So, at the end of the day, Red 13 is still pretty much just a physical buffer. But his BSB works in a pinch for both attack and magic. So moving on, and what I'm really unhappy about not getting by not pulling on this banner is Shel's BSB, which is a spear she can use, and it's plus lightning all realms, so that's nice. The Soul Break itself, Synaptic Net Drive, is lightning and non-elemental. An instant cast time. So remember this. And how she has nice attack statistics. And you know how I dished on the amount of damage that Red 13 output? Shulk, even against a neutral boss, or any boss, because she's dealing non-elemental, but mostly just neutral, because you want to take advantage of the extra lightning damage that she does. She can actually deal a pretty good amount of damage because of her instant cast time. And down below we have ninja cast time on her commands. Well, half cast time I've listed here, because I don't assume that everyone visiting the site understands that ninja cast time means half cast time. So anyway, moving on to the Soul Break itself, we have 10 random per 7.0 total. And this is an attack, defense, magic, resistance, mine. This is a pentabreak. So that is very good. An instant cast, lightning and elemental pentabreak. Very good. And moving on to the commands, we have lightning non-elemental, support, half cast time, and magic breakdown. And the second is a clone, except it is a mind breakdown. This is excellent. Mind, you definitely don't care about as much, but when it's useful, it's useful. But you're happy you're getting a half cast time magic here. And the fact that she has access to Celerity 5 and Machinist, and as well as Support 5. Yeah, single hit is a drawback, but if I were to compare the two, I mean, her most direct comparison is Franz BSB, correct? If I were to take Franz BSB with its 2-hit commands, which she gets, what, attack, or power breakdown and arbor breakdown on her commands? If I were to... no, mental breakdown. Power and mental. If I were to compare the two and take Franz 2-hit attacks versus Shulk's half cast time commands, I would take the half cast time. That is an ability to add more debuffs, and it also deals more damage because you're attacking faster. I will take the half cast time any day. Reduced cast time is the name of the game. It is so powerful. It's so powerful, and I'm sorry if you feel that I feel the need to keep reminding everybody, because it's hard to, I don't know what the word is, internalize it. Because when you cast faster, you're seeing the same numbers appear on the screen. Often smaller numbers, because they get smaller multipliers in return for their faster casting. It fools people into thinking that people with faster casts aren't as powerful, or just as powerful as people without it. But they are very, very, very powerful compared to their regular cast counterparts. Well, maybe not. Oh yeah, and that's why Shadow has such awesome DPS, is the fact that he has overall faster cast time than Edge. Not by much, because ninjas attack quick no matter what they do. But that insta-cast on his USB. That's outside the scope of this. Well, yeah, but are you using them more than just once each? Or once and not at all? Or in not at all? You're wrathing and trusting. Well, maybe. I think most of the time, probably what you're going to end up doing is C1 for the magic, and then full break, and then probably power breakdown. When you're not entrusting. I'm not sure how I'd run her. You could run her as an entruster. During, other fights, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a thing. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, sorry, that was word soup I just gave everybody. Well, it's a pentabreak, and the main goal of using Shulk is probably in Magicite dungeons and eventually the revamped Moat dungeons. And in Magicite, you don't want to even use her BSB anyway. When I talk about her BSB, it's as Shulk as a non-entruster, as an actual debuffer. A debuffer and damage dealer. So, my description, which is long and I should have gotten to this earlier, was essentially a clear upgrade to Franz BSB. Absolutely, in just about every way. Which was celebrated when it came out, and for good reason. Franz BSB was good, is still good. This is just better. The stackability of Pentabreak can't be denied, and her half-cast time commands are perfect with pairings with some good abilities. The usefulness of her Mind Breakdown command will always be limited, so make sure to make good use out of those ability slots, which she can. Also, a nice soul break to have around for further value when you Legend Dive Shulk, which I think a lot of people will for that Entrust ability. Who's a stellar speed clear commando due to her being the Entrust Queen, thanks to her haste and Instacast 3 LM2. And this does have a recurrence on Banner 2 of the next Final Fantasy VII event, and you should take a look at that. I made sure to link to the banners on here so you can take a look at those after. And I suppose I'll open that up in a new tab and go to that after just to show you it, do a quick rundown. But I have this rated at 80 of 100. That is kind of an overall rating of it being a really good support burst, added on to the fact that it's on a character who does something so unique and good that it makes sense to want it for that character, because she's a character worth developing, whether you have anything for her or not. And the fact that you can get this really good burst soul break to give her at the same time would be nice. Next up, we have Vincent's BSB. Relic, Vincent's Glove, Racers plus Fire all realms, and that's nice. What would make you give a debuff BSB a higher grade than that? Setzers? Setzers is probably the only one that would go higher. Attack and Magic Breakdown on entry and dual break commands is a stacking nightmare. It's so friggin' good that I would rate Setzers at 9 out of 10. Hers does have Instacast entry, Shulk's. Alright, so with Vincent's BSB, we have Fire Non-Elemental, 6 group physical or magical, same thing as his USB, depending on highest offensive attribute. And grants Radiant Shield to all allies, and grants Haste and Burst Mode to the user. The Radiant Shield returns all damage taken to the attacker for 30 seconds. That, I guess, that's a liberal definition of return. And it lasts 30 seconds, which is important. Because that's 5 seconds longer than a lot of other buffs last, including Burst Mode, which is a 25-second buff. So, you don't have to feel pressured to recast his BSB as quick as you would others, which is nice for Vincent, because you want to be comboing this with his USB if you can. Well, no. I think that is the wrong way to put it. I think the right way to put your sentence would be Radiant Shield could be better if it was damage that you take, or that you would take rather than what you do take. But Radiant Shield is awesome, which is why I could never agree with it called being referred to as blah. Even by returning the damage that you do take at the end of the packet, it's still very, very, very powerful. And this is the reason why I'm not that high on Terra's BSB2, is because Terra's BSB2, its trait and what it does is it grants Attach Fire, which her USB also gives. So you're basically just refreshing the buff for that 80% increased damage. While this Radiant Shield will stack with everything that you do with Vincent's USB. They work very well together. Then they're going to do a whole lot more damage than, or a damage increase by being comboed than Terra's USB and BSB. Yeah. So this is a really good pickup. And now that we've gotten here, I want to point out that Vincent's BSB is extremely good by itself. Say you took this BSB and turned it into an Attach Fire BSB. So it grants Attach Fire and grants haste and burst mode to the user, right? That would be good. And you would think that would be a BSB worth using, right? That kind of drops off as we go on. But Radiant Shield doesn't. Radiant Shield scales with your health pools and the amount of damage you take and the bosses we fight. Radiant Shield is resistant to power creep because it's always scaling with the game. That's very important, and that's why this is always going to be a good burst. And if you get this by itself, don't feel bad about that. I know you say, okay, well, I want Vincent's awesome USB. You can turn Vincent into a very powerful fire character for a fire team with just this. And there's something on this banner that helps you out even further that means you don't have to go chasing for that USB if you don't want to. And you can still consider yourself to have a very powerful fire character. I know, I understand the allure of feeling, well, I have his BSB, and I could have such a better character if I just keep pulling on this banner. I'm just warning people that at least Vincent is so good and his BSB is so good that he doesn't require that. Hey Mike, how's it going? So his burst commands are actually pretty good too. Just like Kuja. Fire non-elemental, they are darkness commands, which is very interesting. He is the only mage in the game, except maybe, what's his head? How many relics have I rated 10 of 10? None. He is the only mage in the entire game that has darkness commands, because all the others have black magic commands. But I believe that the reason for this is because one of his commands is physical, and physical darkness characters have darkness commands, while magical darkness characters have black magic commands. I believe that because he is a physical character, they give him a darkness, which means his command will work with plus darkness damage RMs, which is interesting. Rosa USB will be, yes. Rosa USB will be the first that I officially rate. There are relics in the game currently that I would have rated 10 of 10 if I had my system in place at that time. So this is an interesting thing to know. It's both good and bad, because this means you can't use black magic increasing stuff like Renoa's RM, or I guess that's the only one, because the other two are Staves and Throne, neither of which are weapons that he can use. But anyway, he does a lot of damage with these. It is good damage with these, but he gets a good multiplier when you have Doom on him. And as we all know, with characters like Kuja and Vincent and ETA, you're going to be dooming them, because Memento Mori is just disgusting. The fact that it's a 50-second buff is just gross. How would I rate Chicken Knife? I think at this point it's probably a 10 of 10. I see no reason why I wouldn't rate that as 10 of 10. It's just so useful. It's so useful for elements that he can just utterly decimate because of that one relic. Turn him into one of the most useful characters in the game. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get into a rating thing. Because I could go on that forever. We will get to that event shortly. What's with good fire mages not being able to use staves? Oh, he can use staves. Sorry. I remember thinking that exactly, and why I wanted Vivi's OSB so bad. Thank you for saying that. He can use staves and rods. Why didn't I not... Why did I say that he couldn't use staves? Yeah. Guns, rods, and staves. So, next up. I sincerely apologize to this relic for the way in which I evaluated it back in the day. I rated it poorly. I state this here. Why didn't I just read this? I didn't fully understand the scaling goodness that was Radiant Shield. This BSB is a perfect complement to Vincent's USB, but stands as alone as a powerful draw itself due to the damage output of the damage mirror and the Doom boosted commands, which are easily unlocked with Memento Mori or Death Throes. Death Throes is the physical version of Memento Mori, if you're using him as a physical character. And the buff is also 50 seconds, so it's also a very good buff. This is crazy, because I'm not going to be doing this as much for BSBs. This is one of the still good BSBs in the game, even after the ability upgrade, because of that Radiant Shield. It is a 70 out of 100, and I gave it a plus 10 with USB, because they work together so well. It makes him worthy of entrusting, and it makes him good on either a physical fire team, or a magical fire team, or obviously a hybrid fire team. So you can use whichever version is best for you. It's just a really good kit, and Soul Breaks going for Vincent. Next up, we have Sephiroth's BSB2. Relic, Yoshiyuki Shinuchi. Katana and his plus Dark all realms. Very important and very good. Soul Break, Octaslash, Dark Non-Elemental. 8 single attacks, grants haste, Dual Blink 2, Attach Dark, and Burst Mode to the user. Dual Blink 2 evades the next 2 attacks that could be evaded with physical or magical blink, lower priority. Which means, I think I copied and pasted that incorrectly. I'll have to go back and fix that. Lower priority? I feel like there's something missing there. No, there isn't. Never mind. I'm not really sure what it means by lower priority. Well, there's one that has a lower priority than the other. Whatever. That's probably not going to come into play. It just means he gets 2 charges of Blink that can apply to each. So, Attach Dark. And remember, the way... Well, congratulations if you have Squall's BSB2. Remember that the way Burst Soul Breaks are constructed is that they get attach. They can get, their defining characteristic. In this case, is Attach Dark, Burst Mode, and Haste, and that's usually it. Dual Blink 2 is a completely bonus effect. It doesn't. It is plus power on top of what it would be normally. So that's really cool to think about. Whatever you think about Dual Blink, that's a very nice thing that it is completely free as far as item level and item allowance go. Next up, we have Black Wing, his first command, which will be Dark Elemental, Darkness Command. It does 3, 4, 5 single attacks at 0.6 each at 750 or 1180 attack. 1180 attack is easier to hit than you think, especially with a darkness character that has access to Hailstorm and Dark Bargain on a second command. Do not think for a second that this is going to be a difficult number to hit. He will be doing 5 attacks with this, and 5 times 0.6 is 3.0. There is actually no stronger Soul Break command in the game for a physical character. Maybe. I think there might be one more. I'm gonna go check because I want to know. Especially because it's gonna be on a banner I plan on pulling on. But there's a big drawback to this command. No damage reduction. Oh, hell no. He comes up with a... I'll go back to it in a second. Noble Blade. No. Boost. 5 single attacks. No, it's 2.7. No, Sephiroth still wins. And this still has the drawback of having 0 soul break generation. So this is the strongest physical command in the game. He does not suffer at all for his dual break 2. It doesn't affect the allowance at all. This is a normal single target attach multiplier. So that's a very, very, very powerful first command. Second command is Dark, Non-Elemental Darkness, and Group attacks is good, because there's no other way for him to do area of effect group damage. And another nice thing is that it's doing 5 attacks. The fact that it's 5 attacks and has such a big multiplier on it means that this is one of the commands that is resistant to the ability changes. You know, the ability changes in the future are trying to push out BSBs from being as powerful as they are. The fact that this does 5 attacks means Sephiroth BSB2 is going to say, thanks, but no thanks. I'm still really freaking good because of this, because the new abilities are not going to be able to match this. And 2 group attacks and grants Dark Bargain to the user for 20 seconds. So attack plus 30%, defense minus 30%. Dark Bargain is good. Helps you achieve your 1180 attack threshold. So this is quietly. It received not a lot of hype upon its launch because it was on the banner with Cloud's USB and Zack's CSB, but it was actually one of the strongest relics on the banner. And for some, was even stronger than Zack's CSB. I'm one of those people. Quietly... Oh, sorry, I went over that already. The entry has a free dual blink 2. The first command has an enormous damage potential, and the second command provides a self buff and or area damage. The only fault with this BSB could be that it belongs to Sephiroth, who has had equipment selection concerns since the dawn of time. The dark boosting katana that this BSB comes on nullifies that concern completely. So he is no longer with the weaknesses that he was. This completes Sephiroth. Of note, this is the best plus dark weapon available for use by Shadow to go with his immensely powerful USB. And this does have a recurrence on the Sephiroth banner in the next Final Fantasy VII event. And I have it rated at 80 of 100. It's just really, really, really good. Really freaking good. If there was anything that I could say poorly about it, is that Magical Dark is so strong. But it's just so powerful that that's fine. Yeah, okay. Well, moving on to the Legend Materia. We have the Hairpin, which is a hairpin. Go figure. Increases duration of stat debuffs by 30%. Red 13 is a buffing specialist. This LMR is meant to pair with his BSB commands, which is absolutely not Red Strength. This is a bad LMR, but at least it's not entirely useless. I rated it 30 of 100 and plus 10 with his BSB. It's just not good. It's just not good, even if you're using him with his BSB. It's just not good. And his BSB is not even on this banner, so you would have had to get his, or have gotten his BSB elsewhere, which was tough because it was only on one banner, and it was not a really good banner. So, yeah, I think that draws down its rating. And it's not even that good, even you have it. So, that sucks. This is one of the poor marks on the banner. Even if I consider Red a good character, which I do, this just doesn't help him and what he does. Vincent's LMR. It is a hat. Just a plain old hat. 25% chance to dual cast fire abilities. Standard, but excellent. 60 of 100, but 20 if with BSB and or USB. They all work well together. Obviously, you want him with his USB, but it'll work with either. Really, really good. So now we move on to the supers. So Shel gets a super here, and it's a little weird. It's bracers with minor lightning resist. It removes positive effects from all enemies, and removes negative effects from all allies, and grants high regen to all allies. This is a rare area of effect to spell, and it's an interesting addition to Shel's arsenal. The use will be very rare, but it is one of those things that you'll be happy to have in the bank when those times occur. Like Mandragoras, and there will be others too, where just having an area of effect to spell is like I can't believe I just made this fight as easy as I did. But I do have it rated low because the fights will be very, very rare where it's useful. But when it is, it'll be nice. Normal dispel or ultimate? Normal. I don't think we have access to ultimate dispels. Can't dispel Mandragora death statuses. I'm not sure. I don't know what the exact status they give is. I'd have to go and look at the AI. But I'm guessing, because the death statuses are stat buffs, right? I don't think we can remove stat buffs. Just like an enemy's normal dispel can't remove ours. Next up, we have Vincent Super Soul Break 2, and this is important. I went into this a little bit on his BSB. Soul Break, best deal war. Fire damage. 8 single attacks grants attached fire to the user. Overwritten by the USB, but useful otherwise with the future Chain Faraga buff. It's good by itself because of the Chain Faraga buff, and all Soul Breaks like this, as I've mentioned in previous reviews, are good because of this. Good if you pull stuff other than Vincent's USB and decide to stop. So when I was talking about Vincent's BSB and why it's okay to stop early without getting his USB, is because this can be used as an obviously not as good substitute for his USB, because you could potentially entrust him with just his Super Soul Break 2 and his BSB together to deal a lot of fire damage. Obviously not as much, but it would still probably be worth entrusting. Yeah, you're right. It is the same dispel as Banishing Strike, so... so for the first time, I gave it a 50 out of 100, but minus 20 with the USB because it does become just useless with the USB. If there is a problem in why I rated it at 50 instead of a 60, is because it's magical. Which I did not note here for some reason. But it's magical damage. So it's not hybrid like the rest of his stuff. And next up we have Sid Super Soul Break 2, which is just Spear, and it grants haste and attack plus 50%. It's good. It's been everywhere. It's also still one of the strongest buffing Super Soul Breaks in the game, so quit your whining. It's one of the best CM Soul Breaks, and makes a lot of limited content easy, like the D300 Yin attack. Yeah, it's really, really good. So I rated it 60 out of 100. If there's anything that would like impact this thing's rating, it'd be the fact that it's been on so many banners, and I know a lot of people have it. I know a lot of people have Shout. But I understand that not all of us have Shout. The game doesn't want to give all of us Shout or Sid Super Soul Break. And for those people that don't have that, this is for them. And it's very, very powerful. And last up, we have Red 13 Super Soul Break 2. Relic Crystal Comb. It is also a hairpin. The Soul Break Protector's War is attack, defense, and mind plus 30% for 25 seconds. It's a triple buff that stacks with Red 13's triple buff USB. I'm absolutely okay with them being here together. That's an excellent complementary Soul Break to his USB. And I definitely would prefer this over his BSB. Because it keeps on with the theme of increasing attack. And obviously, almost any team that you run, the mind is also going to be useful. So, say what we were talking about with combining his USB and his BSB to be a really good buffing suite for a physical team, this would be better. Because you're losing the magic, and you're gaining defense and mind instead. Both useful where magic would not be. So... this is actually quite excellent for a Super Soul Break 2 on this banner. So that was a pretty good banner. I didn't have many bad things to say about it. The bottom half, well, the lower end, unfortunately, has no relics that have plus elemental damage, unlike the second banner of the last event, the Final Fantasy VIII event, and that was one of the best parts about that. So this is definitely not as good of a low end as that, but at least there's still some use to be found in these supers. So on to banner 2, we start off with something we've seen before. We have Zack's Chain Soul Break. The Relic Enhancer is a Realm Synergy. I like to purple them so it really sticks out. Or hot pink, the RS, so it really sticks out and you don't foolishly think that this is a good plus win. It is a bad plus win. The Soul Break's Lucky Stars is attack plus 50% to all allies. Grants 3 months, Mike. So attack plus 50% for 25 seconds, grants critical damage plus 50% for 25 seconds, and wind chain 20%. This is a really good chain for the many people that are running physical wind teams. This bizarre CSB felt like trading in its damage output for some buffs. This is ultimately okay as long as you make use of that critical damage buff. I do know just the fellow. Unfortunately, Cloud's USB is not on this banner. Of course, if you escaped the previous Final Fantasy VII events banner with the Cloud's USB and little else, this banner might have caught your eye. Zack's CSB holds the strange distinction of having no 5-star or 6-star elemental ability to pair with it for advancing the chain. Pair this with his BSB and Entrust, or you can sit there shrugging at your target for a while. Yeah, it's weird when you consider that Zack doesn't have any wind damage. You need his BSB. Luckily, that's on this banner. It wasn't on the last banner, and that's why I suggested when I reviewed that banner that if you got his USB, stay the fuck away. Just get away from the banner and pull here instead. If you're going to spend 50 mithril on that banner, it'd be much better to just keep going on this banner instead, because this banner has Zack's BSB, which is actually something that works together with his CSB, while Zack just sits there with his dick in his hand if he's only got his CSB. He does have good damage output, but it's not like he's doing anything for the chain. And that would do a hell of a lot more damage output. It does have a Legend recurrence, that's what the question mark is for Superfest Banner 2. And I have it rated as 80 out of 100. I think that's that's fine. I think most CSBs I have rated as 90, just because they're so friggin' good at dealing their elemental and helping a party deal that elemental damage. And I dropped his down to an 80 because while it's extremely good if you have all the pieces together, it's not like the other CSBs where, okay, this is all I have and that's all I need. You do need something else, and that's what drops this down. Next up, we have Tifa's USB. Premium Heart. It's a fist, and I forgot the hot pink again. Realm Synergy only plus Earth damage. Earth non-elemental. 10 single attacks. Grants haste, Radiant Shield, high regen. We've taken a look at Radiant Shields. Earth damage is rare. Radiant Shield is good. Haste is also good. This is a pretty good Super Soul Break with high regen tacked on. Oh, yeah, I should have done that. I don't know why I didn't do that. Anyway, this is a pretty good Super Soul Break with high regen tacked on. Better when Tifa gets a spammable Earth Amok ability in the future. Rating 60 out of 100. Yep. I mean, I guess you could... I would evaluate this in a similar way as with Zack's CSB. Similar, but not as bad or as impactful, is that she only has access to Meteor Crush right now, which is not a bad ability, but you don't want to hone it, because that's not really its purpose. Its purpose is to be a plus 50% damage buff, so you don't want to hone that and then spam it while using her USB. You want the better damage ability, which is Gaia something. Anyway, it's 4 hits, does a fair amount of damage, and has a plus 20% crit chance modifier. That's what you want to be using with this USB, and it's not available yet. But otherwise, it's like I said, it's just a good super. High regen, I don't know, it doesn't really count. I guess it can, and that's why it's better than other sources of high regen, because since it has haste and radiant shield, these are both things that you want to be using at the start of a fight. And high regen is also something you want to be using at the start of a fight. These things do synergize well with each other, and high regen cast at the start of the first or second turn of a fight is actually really good. Let's see, Pride, what do you get? Oh, nice. Nice pull. BSB2 and Scorpion, the Red Scorpion. It's excellent. Those are both really good. Moving on, we move into the burst soul breaks. We have Barrett's BSB. It's a gun arm. 6 group ranged attacks. It's a full breakdown. And the commands are attack and magic. So this really is a standard full breakdown BSB. Barrett was not a good character. This sleepy full breakdown BSB doesn't change anything. Rating 50 out of 100. Simple. Simple and just not desirable in the slightest. Next up, we have Cloud's BSB2. Sword. Hey. Wind Elemental. Grants haste, attach, wind, and burst mode to the user. Wind Elemental combat. It's a good thing his burst commands are combat, because he gets that sweet LM2 that allows him to dual cast combat. Let's see, his first command is good. This is good because, unlike the magical counterpart of this, which I've also referenced during this this preview, Terra's BSB2 is also 4 hits and increases, the multiplier could increase with the user's, whatever, magic? Is it her magic? Whatever. Oh no, it's hitting weakness, right? I don't know, whatever. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because the multiplier increases, not the number of hits, so it stays a 4-hit. The difference between Terra's is that Chain Faraga is also 4-hit with a high multiplier. Cloud will never have access to a 4-hit ability, so this will always be relevant for him when he's hitting his home element and not using Omega Drive with his USB. So this is going to be a good command for him always. Next up, we have Slashing Blow. When elemental combat, 2 group attacks. Grants Dark Bargain a user for 20 seconds. Very good. It's group, which isn't bad. He does get a 5-star Spellblade that can do more damage than this. The difference between those is that the 5-star Spellblade doesn't grant him Dark Bargain, so I'd probably just rather be using this instead and give him Life Siphon or something. Yeah. He does get Spellblade 5 access. High damage and combat commands designed to work with his LM2. Not quite Sephiroth levels of awesome, but of course, Cloud potentially has access to his USB, which treads all over the concept of sanity. And this does have an alleged recurrence in the 30th Anniversary Festival Banner 3, along with his USB. Maybe. 70 out of 100 and plus 10 with his USB. Next up, we have Zach's BSB, which I should have also put, just like his CSB, I should have put a plus 10 here on the rating, if paired with his CSB. So, Runeblade, Sword, Wind, Earth. 8 random ranged attacks. Causes Imperil Wind 20% for 25 seconds. Wind Elemental, Celerity. Half Celerity cast time. I hope this is the only time that I ever have to use this. However, I believe Layla's BSB will be on another banner soon, and I'm going to have to do it for that too, because I believe they're the only 2 that have half Celerity cast time. 4 single attacks, and the second command is the exact same thing, except it's 2 group, half Celerity cast time. The faster cast times are resistant to power creep because they act as a multiplier to your constantly raising power level. Zach's commands aren't just fast. They're half the cast time of Celerity abilities, which lands them at 0.60, which is faster than ninja abilities. not just faster than ninja abilities, 25% faster, which is it's a pretty big deal. 0.6 is an extremely fast cast. This BSB has been good and will continue to be for a while yet, especially when paired with his CSB. He becomes a great target for entrusting at that point. So we move into the LMR now, where we get Clouds, which is light armor plus wind, which is nice. But 35% chance to grant quick cast 1 to the user after using a wind attack. Cloud is useful for many things thanks to Omega Drive. It's a shame that his LMR mostly only helps when using his BSB2. I just gave it a 40 and plus 10 if you've got his BSB2. Otherwise, you're going to want to be using his LM1, which is why it has the reduced rating, because if you're going to get an LMR for somebody, you want it to be useful 100% of the time. You want to be comboing it with their LM2 and never take them off. Cloud, physical attacks deal 10% more damage. Yeah, you're going to want to be using that. So Tifa's LMR, which is a fist weapon and attack plus 1% for each hit dealt with damaging physical attacks up to 35%. What are these things? These aren't good and too slow to be effective. 30 out of 100. Stinks. What rating if you have BSB2 and USB? No different. Because you need his BSB2 to get that rating. Not only do you need his BSB2, but you need to be using his BSB2, which isn't useful on Omni-Resist fights. Unless his vulnerability is to wind. That's why it has such a low rating, is because it has such a low use when you consider how good Cloud is. Most of the time, you're just going to be using Omega Drive and Life Siphon. Next up, we have Aerith Super, which is a staff. Yeah, it's America, barely. 30 out of 100. It's only got a 30 out of 100 because it is America, and it, for some weird-ass reason, recurs in the next Final Fantasy VII event. This baby needs to die. This is not a Super Soul Break. I don't understand how they can with a straight face put this relic in maybe they're not putting on in the game with a straight face. Maybe they're laughing their asses off. Check out this second banner and what we can do to the bottom of it. Next up, we have Barrett's Super. Gun Arm. Fire Non-Elemental Pentabreak. Good Soul Break on a bad character and attached to a gun arm. Oh well. 40 out of 100. Tifa's Super. 4 single attacks and grants attack plus 50% to the user for 25 seconds. This is kind of embarrassing. 30 out of 100. Next up, Rufus's Super Gun. 6 group range. It causes Imperil Dark for 20% for 25 seconds. Strange that this is the best Super Soul Break on the banner. Dark Imperil on a character with a strong skill set. He has a strong skill set. He's a support 4, Darkness 5. And Darkness abilities and buffs to look forward to in the future to take advantage of it. It's actually good. It's crazy, but no recurrence. So, now we're going to move into the overview. We got the banner 1 is varied. It's physical and magical damage with buffing and debuffing support. Fire and dark and complementary low ends. Banner 2 is a wind focus due to Zac CSB, Zac BSB, and Cloud BSB2 and Cloud LMR. And a little bit of earth to go on with it. Because though it is just one relic, Tifa's USB is a strong component on an Earth team, so it's worthy of consideration if you're looking to add something Earth to your team. But a weak low end. I think weak is understating how bad this low end is. For those who have Cloud, USB, and nothing else from the high end, you must have nothing else, because if you have at least one other thing from up in the high end, it becomes really dangerous at that point, because now you have a really shitty low end as well as one dupe on a limited high end, and it makes it a poor chances of getting something good. The overview is, I will skip to the second banner since it's easy to wrap up. This banner is probably not good for you. The Yellowmar are average tier at best, and the Super Soul Break section is a mess. You're pulling here because you have Cloud's USB and want his BSB2 and a good Zac to pair with it. Tifa's USB is a nice addition. The rest of this banner is rough, and though you'll likely want to stay away unless you meet that specific condition, and even then, I'd suggest taking a good, hard look at it, because this banner can quickly suck away your resources dry and leave you with nothing to show for it. The first banner is the real prize here. Vincent is a powerful character due to many things, including his support for and darkness access, as well as his status as a true hybrid, allowing T-building flexibility only seen on a couple other characters. Getting even one of his soul breaks here is enough to buy him a ticket onto a team. That also goes for his super. And getting both together turns him into a nightmare truly worthy of entrusting. That would be his USB and BSB, or BSB and super. Add powerful physical dark damage, top tier physical buffing from Red 13, and the speed demon lightning debuffing from Shel, and you have a strong supporting cast behind Vincent. My suggestions for pulling here would be, if you're in the market for Final Fantasy VII Synergy and having a powerful fire soul break is on your wish list. The strong supporting cast means the chances of hitting on something nice is good while you search for the prize. And remember that although Vincent's USB is spectacular, his Super Soul Break is actually quite good as well when paired with his Burst Soul Break, though it's only magical, so picking it up should play a part in your decision to make it an early exit from the banner. I know I think about that a lot when I am looking at banners that I plan on pulling on. Where do I stop? Where am I okay with leaving? And that's why I mentioned that a couple times here, because I think it's good to note that I personally think that if I was pulling on the banner and I wasn't able to pull his USB, but I got his BSB and Super Soul Break, that would go a long way towards me saying, okay, I'm done with this banner. All right, so that's the end. Is there any questions or comments? Is Vincent? Yes. He's not Terra. Nobody's Terra. I think Terra's actually just busted. But Vincent's extremely good. Oh, to be S, I'd probably say yes, he does need the USB. Yeah. But, I mean, A is not bad. A is A-team potential. S just means they're disgusting at what they do. If I had Zac's Chain and Cloud's Ultra, I would stay the hell away from the second banner. Yeah, Terra's just nuts. Is Terra A after... No, Terra's S. Terra's S, like, super S. Her BSB2 is bad. I don't think her BSB2 really plays into how good or bad she is. It's more like... That's like a black spot on the banner, as far as I'm concerned. The Final Fantasy VI banner that just came out in Japan. What's your next Go Ham relic? A little bird me told me you aren't going hard for Vincent. No, I'm not. I'm not even going for Vincent. My next Go Ham relic is Bart's USB. It depends on what you mean by damage output, Neoanima. You're right. Vincent can rival Terra in DPS output, but there's a little trait added on to Terra's USB, is that her the mode that gives her that quick casting lasts 25 seconds to Vincent's 15. And that's a big difference because it allows her to use her USB longer without refreshing, which means that she can use her OSB or Chain Faraga or Meltdown or what have you more and have a higher damage output over time. But in short burst DPS, yes, Vincent can rival Terra. I just think that overall, because of that 25-second status on her USB, she is better. I kind of want to pull on that banner for Zach's BSB. Question: if I have Clim Hazard and his Ultra, is that a good enough combo? What's Clim Hazard? Is that attach wind? Mexter, no, it's not. It is actually 25 seconds. I've since confirmed it. Well, not personally, but multiple sources. Multiple trustworthy sources. Yeah, Terra's BSB2 is 10 extra magic. Yeah. Shadow, Sketch, and I talked in the subreddit Discord and asked some of the data miners there, and they said that it is 25 seconds. Well, it was very important. That 10 seconds is such a big deal, especially when you're dealing with quick cast. You're actually probably... that's a tough call. Am I pulling on the Rubicante banner? No, I'm not. Not because I don't want to. I think it's a good banner. I love Rose's USB, and I love Edge's USB. I just don't have the Mithril. I'm going to be dedicating my resources to a couple events later. The Final Fantasy V event with Bartz and Ferris. So, more on the note of Terras, and something for the future, just in case anyone's like looking at it. The way I read it and the way it should have been read, it is posted correctly. I thought it was like, it blew my mind because it was like, that's way too powerful. That has to be a typo. And I doubted myself from there. But if we read the soul break properly, and the way the spreadsheet is constructed, it would have told us that it is, in fact, 25 seconds. Grants attach fire and X Magitech to the user for 25 seconds. At that point, I was like, no, it can't be. And then to tell myself, like, okay, you know, please something tell me that that's a typo, and this is only 15 seconds, I went to go take a look at it on here, and I saw that its duration was 15 seconds. I was like, okay, well, that makes more sense. But one thing I didn't look or really register in my mind was that this column says default duration. And this can be overwritten. And it is overwritten because the cast itself of the USB has a 25-second timer on it. So it overwrites the 15 seconds that that it should be. It's very possible that this was a typo. Well, a bug. It's very possible that it's a bug, not a typo. But it is, in fact, 25 seconds. The only X mode, as far as I know, that is. Let's see if we can find that out. Let's see if we can verify that. I'll look at all the 25-second buffs and see if we can find another X mode among it. Thunder God's Might, I would qualify that as an X mode, and that's basically a huge reason why Orlando's as good as he is. His OSB provides a 25-second X mode to him. It's gross. Her trance. Yeah, I think... No, Zidane's is as well. Play rough mode is also 25 seconds, so it's not the only one. Actually, a lot of these are. See, these are all trances. Is Lock Phoenix mode? Lock's Phoenix mode is a trance as well, isn't it? Play rough mode is from an LMR. Well, that makes it even better. Because LMRs are usually have a reduced effectiveness. Though play rough mode isn't that good, is it? That's probably where the reduced effectiveness is. Oh, Jesus. No, God, that's so good. Is that really from an LMR? Magic 30% and cast speed times 3? What the... No, it's LM2. Whew. God. Is Noctis better than Orlando with OSB, BSB, and LMR? Well, I can't... It's hard to compare them, because Orlando is good, but he eventually moves into the realm of he's good versus holy and lightning vulnerable, where Noctis is more... I would say yes, that Noctis is better, but not at dealing damage to lightning or holy vulnerable. Noctis is better because he has more use, because he's purely non-elemental and he gets his value from elsewhere other than just dealing straight damage. He's actually just awesome for other reasons. Okay, so back to statuses. We're gonna see if we can find another X mode in here. I'm sorry, this is blowing my mind right now. I need to reduce the size so I can search this while having duration and effects on the same screen. It needs to happen. No, really, Terra's is the only X mode that is 25 seconds. And it makes me think that it's a bug. Because not all X modes have X mode in it. Here's a good example. Gabranth. His USB is basically an X mode. And it's just called Aggressor. They didn't call it X mode for everybody for some reason. Gabranth's USB grants him Aggressor, which is essentially grants him quick cast every time he uses a darkness damage ability. Sound familiar? It's exactly like Lightning's X mode. If they ever fix that bug, which I don't think they will. It's gone on for way too long. Vincent catapults. I doubt it. It is a bug, but, well, it most likely is a bug, but they don't fix bugs like that. It would actually cause an uproar that they would not want to handle or be able to handle if they fixed that bug. Because a lot of people make pull decisions based upon that bug. And if they reduce that to 15 seconds, there would be fire and flames and brimstone. Yeah, exactly. That Hugh put it best. Yeah, Zelda 2. Is Shel BSB on that gem only banner? Keep in mind, we didn't get the gem only banners from Extreme Fest. Yeah, this is it. And Shulks is not on the banner. Or not in the selection list. Song request is not on. I can put it on though. I thought about using that more often. The problem, Keep, is with song request on, that means that licensed content can get played and that can get my sound muted, which means that since a lot of the stream is like dedicated to discussion, if I'm ever going to upload VODs, which I do of almost all of these discussions, and a lot of people watch them, I can't really do that. So it'd have to be during like gameplay that I don't plan on uploading videos for. Yeah, it is. It's so good that I haven't even played the game and I still listen to it. It's on the list. I don't even think I'm going to be... At this point in time, I don't even think I'm going to be pulling on this event. Sure.